Hi, my name is Jason Rubin. I run the content division of the AR/VR group at Facebook. I feel like we've solved the problem that the VR industry had. When you walked into Best Buy as an interested VR purchaser, you asked your extremely knowledgeable VR salesman, what should I do? And they said, well, do you own a PC or console? And some people say yes. And so the next question, if he's being honest, was, do you mind a lot of cables and setup, and it's gonna have stuff on your walls or over your TV, and it's gonna kind of be a mess. And when you go back into it, it may take a little bit of setup to get back into it. You may not go into VR as often as you thought you would because of the fact that it has a lot of setup, but ultimately, the 6 degree of freedom experience you get will be absolutely mind-blowing. No, I don't have those things, or I don't want to deal with them. Well, do you want to spend a few $1,000s to get it, or $1,000 to get it, a few hundred for a console version of this? No, I'm looking for something affordable. Over here, we have a device that's 3 degrees of freedom. It's a Gear VR, it's a Go, it's one of the others that had come out. Interesting, gets you a great media experience, can watch a great TV, best TV in your house. There's a lot of games on it, they're good, but they're not 6 degrees of freedom. You'll never see your hands. The controller kind of tracks your hand, but it doesn't really track your hand. Is it a gaming device? No. Well, what about me? What about me, the mass middle that has no option? Well, the answer to that is Quest. Up until now, that huge population wasn't served. And on top of that, the question gets easier for the person who does have a PC, and it doesn't have to be as beefy a PC as it was a few years ago. It could be a laptop, because they no longer need to tack things to the wall, put them on tripods, put them on stands on their desk. They no longer have to deal with getting in and out. They have Rift S. They can pop it on their head, one cable, 2 jacks on the end of it, inside-out tracking, Insight, just like Quest. The result of this has been an incredible amount of sales for us and beat our expectations. If you look at anecdotal online evidence, we're selling out on Amazon, and we sold out in Best Buy, at least in LA, by my own check. So we're doing really well. Additionally, we have 4 years of software that has come to fruition with a lot of great titles. Beat Saber perhaps being the pinnacle of that for a VR, from the VR perspective. But Vader Immortal, and all of the other things we have going on PC, as well as the 50 titles we launched with and more that we're showing here for Quest. The PC is going to get an amazing lineup over the next 6 months to a year. And we also announced after the fall as well. So there's a lot of software coming for PC and a lot of software coming to Quest. We're very confident that in the next 6 months of Quest is going to see a lot of titles coming out. Most of those titles are done by third parties. And most of those third parties are small teams, mostly indie, who are putting those titles together, as a small group on their time. And if something happens, someone gets ill, or they just run into some problem, timeline could go longer. If they get an incredible amount of energy, timeline can come in. We don't try to manage that. We try to let developers do whatever they think is right for their title. So it's hard for us to pace the release schedule, but on average, a few a week, probably between now and the end of the year. Perhaps a week with none, perhaps another week with way too many. It's kind of the business we're in. This device, the Quest, we believe, and early sales prove, is going to be adopted by a lot of people that have never been in the VR world before. They look more like console buyers than they look like PC buyers or the early adopter hackers that we've basically built the ecosystem around on PC. And because that, we want to reach them in a way that they're used to being reached. And what that means is we don't want a store filled with a lot of titles that vary from an extremely low price or free to a very high price, because they tend not to want to do the research to figure out what's better or what's worse in the same way that a PC user will. There is no early access on consoles. The idea of a developer saying, it's a hacked together demo or a partially done piece of software, try it out, tell me whether I should finish it, it's very foreign to that buyer. So the bar is going to be higher for the Quest in terms of getting into the store, and we're going to want to have fewer, better titles so that the consumer finds what they want. This is good for all the developers in that store, and I think that's commonly understood. But it's also good for all of the development community. And I know that that isn't as well understood, so let me try to explain it. We have part of our ecosystem that's set up for exploration. That's the PC ecosystem. We have a large user base in the PC ecosystem. We support the PC ecosystem through our START program and other programs to help even the smallest indies with free hardware and with free support. We fund small indie titles. We let things happen on the PC. If you have an idea, you don't want to talk to anyone, you just try to drop it in a store, as long as it meets a certain threshold, it's not crashing, the frame rate's not horrible, and it doesn't have something like adult entertainment or hate speech or something in it, we'll give that a shot. We're actively watching our Rift store, and anything that works in our Rift store, we're going to want to bring into the Quest store, and we're going to go to developers and help them do it. So it's a great way to get in front of us and prove out an idea that we might not otherwise see. Additionally, we're looking at all the other stores out there and saying if something hasn't come to Quest and has proven itself, we'll really want to work at it. Now, I think most developers understand that. The confusion happens when they ask, what happens when I submit? Are you going to approve me at the beginning and cancel me at the end? And I really want to clear that up. If all we did was wait for the very end, and we keep a high bar with the Quest, that could create unhappiness. And unfortunately, we tried to message as early as possible our strategy, but unfortunately a couple things have been brought to us at the end. We've said no. At the beginning, if we say no, it's not no, we don't like you, developer, it's come to us with something that makes sense for the store, let us help you get that in. And you can keep doing that because it's at the very beginning, over and over and over again with little investment. So we believe this is the best thing for the consumer that's using Quest. We believe it's the best thing for the developer community at large. And we really think it's what's necessary to push VR into the mass market and give the consumers the curated store that they're used to if they're a console player. Our intention is to help developers get into the Quest store. We want to make a promise to them that if we approve at the beginning, we're going to work with them through the entire development process to get that product in our store. It is our intention to never reject a title at the end of that period of time, from early submission to getting in the store. And to date, we haven't rejected a title that we've approved early by the end. What would happen that would change that? The developer might decide they don't want to bring it to the store. The developer might fail miserably to deliver. And unfortunately, that means we wouldn't approve something that didn't reach the bar we had agreed to at the beginning. Or a developer might utterly want to change what they're doing, which would require us to then go back and look at what they're doing. But the goal of meeting the developer at the beginning is to push that software through to the end with support, with help, and make the best possible software. Facebook is looking at the game industry at large, and Facebook thinks about community. And one of the greatest communities on the planet, fastest growing communities on the planet, most interesting communities on the planet is the video gaming community. It's massive. And so Facebook has a lot of verticals, for example, Instagram, Facebook, and they're all doing something with the gamer community. There's tons of groups around gamers in Facebook, for example. Facebook Watch, there's a lot of streaming from game streamers. But what is our plan as a company as a whole? And Facebook really looks at the game industry and says, we want to be involved and we want to help where we can. We want to do what we can with this great community. And I have entered into a role of kind of just looking at that and seeing what the options are out there. At the same time, I'm still heavily focused on VR. This is my love. Internally, as we fund titles, we tend to focus on both of our game platforms at the same time. There are certainly things that can be done on PC that can't be done on Quest. That's just a simple fact of the processor power between the two. But there's a hell of a lot that we haven't done in VR because there's not that much we've done in VR. So we feel that building games for both platforms right now, bumping up the graphic fidelity and other things for the PC is probably the right space for us to be investing. Having said that, if someone came to us with an idea for PC that we thought really would change VR's curve, and it couldn't be done on Quest, we'd absolutely think about doing that. And likewise, if someone came to us and they said, listen, we have a game only can work on Quest because it's untethered, for example, we would also think about funding that. For the most part, we're going to stick to that sweet spot of funding for both of them with the graphic bump on PC. Developers are free to choose to do whatever they want to do. If you want to focus on Quest, we're happy to support you there. If you want to focus on Rift only, we're happy to support you there. If you want to bring it to both, we're happy to support you there. If you succeed on one or the other, we'll probably be coming to you asking you to bring it to the other platform and helping you get there, whether that's technically or financially. Oculus is continually asking itself, where is the right place to be in the marketplace? And right now, if anything, we're asking ourselves, how can we bring the price down on these devices? Not how can we bring the price up? Because we believe the more people that are in VR, the more people will bring people into VR. The more people that bring people into VR, the more developers can target larger audiences, which means there's a financial windfall for them there, which will bring more developers, which will bring more great titles, which will bring more consumers. And that kind of piles on itself to bring a big ecosystem. We think that's where our focus is right now. Quality hardware at a quality price and the best possible content, that makes consumers happy. Having said that, there's some great uses for higher end hardware. And some people really just want that higher fidelity stuff. High fidelity stereos in the past were not a mass market device, but it was great for people that really wanted to hear the highest quality of audio, and we accept that. And not where we're focused right now. In the future, might we be focused there? I can't really say yes or no. It really depends on where the market goes and what we see. Enterprise is a really interesting space. There may be a reason for us to be there. Consumers might say at some point, there's a technology that's worth it to us to spend $1,000 on. At that point, we would hope to meet them where they want to be. But right now, we think what consumers are saying is, give me the software that gets me interested in VR, and then give me the device I can afford. Those are the two things we hear more often than not. And ease of access, easy in and out, and as cable-free as you can make it. That's the other thing we heard, which is what we've addressed with Quest and Rift S. So it's a great time to get into VR. And now anybody who walks into a Best Buy can walk out of there for $399 with one of the two headsets, which is a reasonable console price, and jump in. So I feel great about where we are. Thank you for listening. For any more information on Oculus or our products, please feel free to go to oculus.com.